Today fight. U.S. military menacing invade China near disputed islands in South China Sea. Tensions between China and the U.S. continue to grow as both nations ramp up military activity in the highly disputed South China Sea. Experts have warned the chance of military conflict is increasing as both nations show no signs of flinching. They continue to match their war of words with a flexing of their respective military muscles. The U.S. has reacted angrily after China fired ballistic missiles into the South China Sea as part of an ongoing live-fire exercise last week. China's actions, including missile tests, further destabilize the situation in the South China Sea, the Pentagon said in a statement. Such exercises also violate PRC commitments under the 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea to avoid activities that would complicate or escalate disputes and affect peace and stability, it said, referring to China by the initials of its official name, the People's Republic of China. Amid heightened tensions, the best scenario involves negotiations and power sharing. In the worst case, a clash leaves the region a Cold War zone, drives away oil and gas firms, and possibly splits ASEAN unless the U.S. is ready for war. It must learn to accommodate China with more tit-for-tat rhetoric and military posturing. China and the United States seem to be heading towards a showdown in the South China Sea. Upping the ante, on August 26, China fired vaunted aircraft carrier killer missiles into the sea, apparently as a response to the U.S. show of force there with aircraft carrier strike groups. This came after a U.S. U-2 spy plane flew over Chinese naval exercises in the Bohai Sea in violation of a no-fly zone. The U.S. followed up China's missile test by deploying a ballistic missile detection aircraft to spy on China's military drills. This all came in the midst of a sharp downward spiral in relations, and in the aftermath of U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's recent statement on U.S. policy in the South China Sea, which increased the possibility of a clash there. What might come next can be captured in three scenarios. In a good scenario, a united ASEAN or at least a majority of nations would take a stand against both countries' military posturing and buildup in the area. China and the U.S. would pull in their horns and start to negotiate in earnest. To build confidence and trust, the U.S. would refrain from the use of force, or the threat of it, and suspend its military buildup in the region, including its freedom of navigation operations challenging China's claims, and its intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance probes targeting China's defenses. China would, in turn, refrain from bullying its rival claimants and negotiate a modus operandi that includes sharing and cooperating on management of the resources of the South China Sea. China would also cease further construction and militarization on its claimed and occupied features, agree not to occupy and build on Scarborough Shoal, and not declare an air defense identification zone over disputed waters. China and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations would agree on and abide by a code of conduct that stabilizes the situation. China and the U.S. would reinvigorate their military communication channels and reaffirm their commitment to the code for unplanned encounters at sea and negotiate an incidents at sea agreement. Given this foundation, the U.S. and China would agree to peacefully coexist and share power in the region. In a scenario at the opposite end of the spectrum, China would continue to bully its rival claimants. One or more would appeal to the U.S. for backup. The U.S. with its credibility at stake would respond with warships and warplanes. China would refuse to back down and a clash would ensue. While cooler heads would prevent things from spiraling out of control, the U.S.-China relationship would plunge into a Cold War in which ASEAN members are increasingly pressured to choose sides. U.S.-China incidents at and over the sea would become more frequent and insurance rates for shipping through the region would rise significantly. Foreign oil companies would suspend their operations, citing force majeure, and oil and gas exploration and exploitation beyond nearshore waters would all but cease.